Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victoria Fash. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. If you're a returning subscriber, you know I love you, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for always coming back. Okay, so thank you guys so much. So today I have a very interesting topic that I want to discuss with you guys. Yes. So we all know that dating is hard, okay, especially when going for dates, hanging out, getting to know each other. That phase of trying to establish a connection between you and this person, it's a very, very frustrating phase sometimes, and it can be very, very awkward, especially when you're in your first date or you're just meeting a person and all of that. You guys already know that I'm an avid preacher for marry your friend. Okay, so be friends to the person before you get married to the person. And I always say, or just like Pastor Kingsley would say, don't look for someone to marry and make the person your friend. Look among your friends and get someone to marry, right? However, I know that not a lot of us have the luxury or have the opportunity to be able to marry somebody amongst our friends. Okay, so that's why it's tougher for me personally. My husband, I didn't know him from anywhere. He just approached me on Instagram and we started to build friendship. But in that process of building friendship, that very first conversation, okay, our first conversation was on Instagram, because he met me on Instagram and then he sent a message and we just spoke, we chatted. And so if I still have that, I know I have it in my Instagram, but I cannot be scrolling up, but if I do, I'll leave it here for you guys to see how our conversation went on and on. However, the first time we spoke together, right, for us, because we've been chatting a lot. My husband is a chatter, or he was, if there's any word like that, okay, he's a person that loves to write, to communicate via text, right? He's a texter, okay? I am a talker, I'm a talkative, okay? So I love to talk, but because we're just getting to know each other, and he's the one who definitely will be making most of the, starting most of the conversation, right? So he did it with his own preferred means of communication, which is via text. Okay, so we're texting a lot, so we chatted a lot, right? However, you see, that first face-to-face conversation, maybe not even face-to-face, because as I told you guys, I didn't see my husband until 6 months into us dating, and I think about 9 months into us knowing ourselves, okay, before I eventually met him. But I remember the very first phone conversation we had, the beginning was a bit awkward, because then you start to wonder, okay, so what do I say? Okay, and then you guys get to meet each other and then you go on a date. My own story, I don't even think my own story is probably, it's 1 out of, I don't know, 20 or 1 out of 30. But basically, when a guy approaches you and then you guys want to start to build, whether it's friendship, whether it's jumping straight into dating, that very first conversation can be awkward, especially if it takes you out on a date, so gosh, I remember one of my friends who, in one of the first dates that she went with this guy, she was asking him, what's your 5 years plan? What's your 10 years plan? What do you see? Where do you see yourself in the future? What do you see yourself doing? And I always say, I know I also did this to my husband, but this was like months into our dating, right? Guys don't like confrontation like that, okay? Majority of guys will run away from you because they'll feel like, oh, I'm just trying to get to know you. I'm not putting a ring on your finger today or tomorrow. So don't start to ask me what is my 5 years plan on our first date, or don't start to ask me how many girlfriends I've had on our first date. Don't start to ask me how much I earn on my first date. On our first date. So yeah, all of those, and some people, it's just out of, okay, I don't know what to say, so I just ask you, but then you start to talk about the weather, you talk about things that are irrelevant. Okay, so today I have come to help. Okay, I have come to help you. What are some of the things that you can, questions you can ask, conversation starters in your first date, when in your dating phase, when you're just, you guys are just starting things, or the flame of love is just sparking. Okay. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so I have about 20 to 60 questions, I'm not joking, over here that I've just set down on my laptop, as to what are some of the things, or some conversation, or some of the things you can ask to be able to start up conversations between you and your husband, especially if you're an introvert. Okay, because for us extroverts, it's easier for us to just jump in and start to talk and all of that. For introverts, it's tougher, and especially if the two of you are probably introverts. Okay, anyway, so let us get right into it. Okay, so the first question I have here is, you can ask him, so, where did you grow up? okay, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Nigeria? Did you grow up where? What was the area like? How was growing up for you in that area? If for any reason you guys maybe like us, we've chatted and then, you know, now you're seeing each other, you know, you can just start a conversation by saying, so yeah, you said you went to this school. How was that like for you? You understand? So that's just a way to say, oh, okay, because now you're making a conversation about the other person. Okay, you don't see the worst thing you want to do in your relationship is to go there and make all the conversation about you. Oh, do you know that when I was primary 3, I was the kiniko? When I was, you know, this is what I earned. This no. You don't want to do that, okay? You don't want to do that. It's the first date. First date is getting to know each other. So you're asking questions. You are showing genuine interest in the person that you're on a date with, and he is showing interest in you. That's the way the conversation should go. It's not about talking about myself unless the person asks you to talk or ask you a question about yourself. You understand that? So don't just start to volunteer information about yourself that you were not asked, okay? So yes, just ask them, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Nigeria? Did you grow up here? Oh, interesting, okay? Or the person has told you, or maybe you guys have had that conversation and he said he grew up in Lagos or whatever. You can say, oh, you said you lived in Lagos. Did you grow up here? How was it like for you? Did you enjoy this? Have you, you know, you can just call popular places and, you know, the city where the person, if you know it, okay? So make your research. The city where the person said or may have told you that they grew up in, like, did you ever try this place? Did you ever do this? Did you ever do that? I heard people that live here, like, it's a must you visit this place and all of that. So you can start that conversation like that. I think that's just a very cool way to start talking about, to learn more about him, about his upbringing, without necessarily asking him what was upbringing like. Were you in a traumatic home? Did your parents love themselves? But that's just a good way to, you know, start the conversation. Okay, all right. So now the next fun question I think you can also ask is probably to ask him or her, what is one talent you have that people don't know? What is one talent you have that people don't know? I think that's just a very good way to also know who the person is inside, because everybody, no matter how tush and proper we are somebody inside that people don't know. Everyone has that little girl inside or that bad bitch. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that word. I'm so sorry about that. You know, you have that, you know, that person inside of you that people don't know. For my husband, a lot of people always thought my husband was a very strict person. Many of his nieces and nephews started to talk to him after they got to know me, right? And then they got to know him and they were like, I didn't know you were this fun. And my husband likes, you know, he used to tell me that I have a reputation to protect, okay? Let them think that I am like that so that they don't come and be asking me for necessary things. But he's actually a very, very fun person. So you can just ask him, what is that talent you have that people don't know? So that silently or inside, you're a singer or you're an actress or something. You'll be amazed the kind of revelation you're going to have after that conversation. So I think that's also a good way to, you know, continue that conversation. And then the person will ask you, how about you? What do you have? And all of that. And then you guys can, you know, start the conversation like that. And you can put instances of, you know, I don't know, just, yeah, that's the second question. Okay, all right. So the third question, now this one is almost deep, okay, but it's also like, it's not deep enough. It's just deep, okay. All right, you can ask, what is one question you wish people ask you, or people often ask you? Like, what is that one question you wish that people ask you? And this one might be like, you know, because majority of people haven't really thought about that, okay? And it might just be a way for you guys to just, you know, think about things, and then you can share yours, and then you can inspire him to share his and stuff like that. So it's deep, but it's kind of giving the vibe that this girl has sense. She has for us to ask this question, like she has brain. So yes, you can just ask, what is one question you think or you wish people ask you more often? Even for some of you, you might be amazed. It can just be, how are you? Like, and you know, yeah. Anyway, so yes, that's just another question you can ask. Okay, all right. The fourth question I have here is, and this one is definitely not the least question, right? I even think, like, yeah, it shouldn't be the first thing, okay, because you guys are, you know, getting to know yourself, but you should definitely ask, what are your religious beliefs? Okay, that's if you don't know, and even if you think you know, please confirm it, okay? So if the person has a Christian name, does not mean they are practically a Christian. Because the person has a Muslim name does not mean that they are practically a Muslim. And there are a lot of people who bear names of their, you know, maybe their parents were Muslims and, you know, they are Christians. Like I had a boss, her name is Awa. She's not it, right? But I always assumed that she was a Muslim. I was like, go to know that this lady is a spiritual Christian. I couldn't believe it, right? So you might want to also, you definitely have to ask that question. What is your religious belief? Do you believe in God? Maybe not do you believe in God, but are you a Christian? Like, what's your religious belief, basically? And have a conversation about that. You can ask you yours, and then you talk about it. And that might even be a way to build conversations about your faith, because you can then ask, okay, so would you call yourself like a Christian or just a Christian by name and stuff like that? You guys can just have that. Don't make it judgmental. Just make it like a normal conversation. Okay, so yeah, definitely ask about your religious beliefs. Okay. Another chill question you can ask, which is the 5th question I believe now, is, did you have a childhood best friend? Like, who was closest to you as a child? Everyone has childhood stories, someone that they had as a bit. I mean, kids, as a kid, we had best friends. So we became adults that, having friends is not all that easy anymore. So you can just ask, did you have a childhood best friend? Do you guys still keep in touch? How was it like? What's his name? How did you become friends and stuff like that? Just normal conversations. Okay, just have normal conversations about your childhood, and then you can talk. I always told you guys I had 2 childhood best friends, and then you can just, before like, conversations will spring from that, and then before another question will come on from that, and then another question will come up, like, from do you have a childhood best friend, is like, oh, so what was he like, where is he now, do you guys keep in touch, when was the last time you heard from him, stuff like that. Okay, and before like, it can even go deeper and deeper. Okay, but that's just a way to that's another conversation to have in your first date. Okay, another question you can ask also that I believe is also chill, you can ask, what's your favorite food? Like, what food do you like? Especially if you guys are in a restaurant, I think that's actually a very good way. So if the person maybe ordered something, it's like, oh, do you like that? Like, is that your favorite food? What's your favorite food? You understand? So what's your favorite food? What do you enjoy? Or what's your favorite snack? Okay, what do you like to snack on? Do you snack? Do you do snacking? Like, yeah, I think that's also a very chill question to ask. Okay, and then you can then ask, are you an introvert, or do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert? Right? Yeah, I also think that's a good way to start a meaningful conversation. Okay, because if it says it's an introvert, why are you an introvert? Why do you think so? Is that the way you've always been, or is it life? The way adulting can make you like reserved. Have you always been that way? Did you just start and all of that? And then I'm sure you'll be like, what about you? And then you can also talk about yourself. That's the way you get to know each other. Okay, so are you an introvert? Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert? And if they tell you, oh, they're an introvert, you can ask them, okay, what is fun to you? Okay, what do you consider as fun as an introvert? Right? What is fun to you? Is it Netflixing and chilling? Is it reading? Like my husband, like reading is fun for him, right? And you guys can make jokes about it. And then yeah, so what do you consider fun? Do you go out? Do you hang out? Do you have friends? Do you keep friends? Like, what are your circle of friends like? You understand? Yeah, so just ask that kind of question. Then definitely whatever question you ask, be ready to answer. All right. And don't lie. That's why these are not deep conversation. These are just chill, normal conversation you will have with a friend. And it's also a good way to build friendship before you get into datey, lovey sort of questions. Okay, so yeah, I think you should also go with that. Okay, so are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Why do you consider yourself like that? Have you always been like that from childhood, or is this something that developed in adulthood? Yeah, so I think that's also a very good question to ask in your first date. You can also ask like another chilled question you can ask, like, are you a pet person? Because it's very important for me to know, because yeah, I am not a pet person. All right, so you can also ask like, do you like pets? Did you have a pet growing up? Did you have like a favorite like item that was very possessive? Every child has one. Did you ever have one like that? Do you have pets, or do you like pets? Do you have one now? Is it something you want to have, cats or dogs or stuff like that? You can just have that kind of conversation and listen to their response, and also give yours, and have the conversation. And then this one, some people might find this controversial, but I think it's just chilled, normal conversation. Okay, do you like cooking? I think a lady should start this conversation, right? Because if a guy starts it, it's like, oh, are you trying to say that if I cannot cook, you can take things overly too serious. Okay, but I think you can ask him like, do you like cooking? Do you cook? Have you ever cooked? What's your best food to cook? What's the best food that you like to cook? What is the, even if it says it doesn't like cooking, you say, okay, is there any particular dish that is your favorite thing? If you didn't have any restaurants to go to, what can you make, right? And then listen to him, and then you can tell him yours if he's interested and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's also a very chilled, interesting question you can conversation you can have in your first date. Now, if you're a lady, I think this is also a very good question, because I think a lot of guys would enjoy it or would like it, right? You can ask him, watches or shoes, which one would you pick? Like, are you a watch person or shoe? Or you can ask him watches or perfume. When you check him, you see what are the things that he likes. My husband, you could tell that he's a sucker for watch and for shoes and for perfs. Okay, so you can ask, if you had to choose one out of the three, which would you go for, right? And then here is response on those things. Yeah. Now, okay, beyond having, because I know this is first dates, you're just trying to set the pace and all of that, right? However, beyond all the chilled question and all, you also want to know this person that you are dating, right? So, but you don't want to go too deep, but you still don't want to not know, right? So you might also want to ask, what do you do for a living, right? I think that's actually important that you ask, right? So your first day, what do you do for a living? Like, what do you do? Okay, how long have you been in that role? If it's sooner, if it's like maybe 3 months or a year, okay, what were you doing before that? You can also say, okay, how long were you in that role? Maybe if you ask that, maybe that, but for first dates, don't push it, okay? You can just ask, okay, so what do you do for a living? Oh, this and that. How long have you been there? If you say he's been there for 5 years, oh, do you enjoy it? Do they give you opportunities for growth? Or is it just, you're just there? Is this something that you truly enjoy, or is something that you're just doing to, to put money in the pocket? You understand? And then also be willing to also share yours, okay? And then you can also ask him, okay, how long have you been there? If he's only been there for just maybe a couple of months, you can ask him, okay, what were you doing before then? Is that what you see yourself doing long term? Is it like a passion for you, or just something that you're just doing, right? So you can just have that conversation, let it flow, okay? You can tell when the person is not willing to talk about something by their facial expression, by their body language. So if you ask him and he's giving you attitude, just switch it up, okay? Later you can get back to that, but I think it's very important that at least you know what he does for a living, and and then ask him, do you enjoy it? Is this something you've been doing for long? What did you study in school? Is it related to what you studied in school? What school did you attend? Right? You can just ask him those basic questions, okay? How was university life for you? What did you study in school? Oh, interesting. Why did you pick that course? Have you always wanted to be that person? Is that what you always wanted to study in school? Why was that what you always wanted to study in school? Get to know the person, okay? And trust me, it's from simple conversations like this that you get to know who a person really is on the inside. Trust me, just by a person telling you about the course that they study or their job, their body language, the way they talk, the things they emphasize on, either on people or on money or on skills or on them, on personal growth, will help you to know how the person thinks, okay? So those simple conversations, you might think, oh, what's his favorite food? What is, if he can cook and stuff like that? Trust me, their response, imagine if I ask, what's your favorite thing to cook? And he says something like, men don't cook, right? You did not ask him what his belief is, but you are able to understand what his thoughts are or his mindsets are about men cooking. You understand? So trust me, don't underestimate those simple or seemingly simple questions, because trust me, they help you to know the person's thinking patterns and their beliefs, okay, and their values. Yeah, another question you can also ask is, if you're to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be? What would that be? If you're to describe yourself in 3 words, what would that be? Say chilled, playful, sexy. What are the 3 words that, if someone is to describe you in 3 words, or if you are to describe yourself in 3 words, what would it be? And then you can ask, if someone else is to describe you in 3 words, maybe your friends or something, and if they are to describe you in 3 words, what would they say? And then you can ask them, so why would they think you are this if you're saying you're this? And then you can have that conversation. I think that's actually a very interesting and nice conversation to have. Another question you can ask, so would you consider yourself a morning person or an evening person? Are you a night bed? No, is it morning bed and night owl? Yes, night owl, OWL. oh, are you a morning bird? So they can tell you, oh yeah, I love to sleep in and wake up early, or wake up early and sleep in, and stuff like that. So you can, you can have that conversation. So do you consider yourself a morning person or a night person? Why is it like that? Have you always been like that? Is this cool? Having to read all night, is it becoming an habit? Is it your work? Does it require you to wake up early, or does it require you to wake up late and to sleep late and stuff like that? So you can just have a very good conversation from that one question. See, all these questions I'm asking, you can literally build the whole night's conversation from one of this question if you know how to move conversations, or how to progress conversations, so you understand. All right, you can also ask, do you like to travel? Like, have you ever been outside of whatever country or state you are? Where's your favorite? If the person likes to travel, or they've traveled a lot, you can ask them, what's your favorite place? Where's the favorite place you visit? Where's the place you visit that you love the most out of everywhere you've been to? Or where is the place that you love to visit that you've not had the opportunity to do? I think that's also a very good question. Like, oh, what would you like to visit? Where's your favorite place in the world that you like to visit? So you listen, and then you share yours, and then you can ask, do you like to travel? Are you a traveling kind of a person, or do you believe, okay, just stay where you are, or maybe he's scared of flight, or doesn't like to travel and stuff like that? I mean, you get to know a lot about a person just through one question, right? So you can ask, okay, are you a traveling person? Are you a person that prefers to just stay in your house and stay in your zone and stuff like that? I think that's also a very good question. So you can also ask, what's your favorite genre of movies? Are you a person who likes, suspense or drama or love or stuff like that? You can also ask that kind of a question, right? So what's your favorite genre of movies? What do you enjoy in movies and stuff like that? You can also ask, movies, Netflix, or books, like, what do you prefer, right? I think that's just a good way to know how they entertain themselves, right? Or going out or staying in, like, which do you prefer, right? And then you can ask, do you have a football club? What kind of football club? Or do you enjoy football? What club do you belong to? And then if you are a football person, it's just a good way to start a conversation around that and all of that. You can also ask, what's your biggest pet peeve? Yeah, so your pet peeves are things that irritates you, or something that normal things that irritates you. Those are your pet peeves. So you want to ask him, like, what is your greatest pet peeves? Mine is wet feet, right? That is mine. My husband has his own. Awkward things that freaks you out, right? So what's your greatest pet peeve? Is it putting the toilet paper in the wrong way? Is it not putting things the way they're supposed to be? Do you consider yourself OCD in nature and stuff like that? I think that's also a very good question you can ask on your first date. It's not the day to be asking, how many children do you want to have? Those are conversations you will have, but definitely not on the first date, right? Did you come from a big family? Did you come from a smaller family? Which of your siblings are you the most closest to, right? Which of your siblings did you fight the most with when you were younger? Were you a mommy's girl or a daddy's boy or something like that? Were you closer to any of your parents, or either of your parents, right? Both of your parents used to relate with them. From there you can tell you, oh, my dad is late or something. You get to know all of that without necessarily asking, are the two of your parents alive? Right? But then so which of them do you relate with the most now, and all of that? And how was your relationship with them like as a kid? I think that might be second date question, but I mean, depending on the vibes of the relationship, you can also ask that. Okay, you can also ask him, what's your favorite day of the week? Like I said, first date, chill, relax, have fun. Okay, what's your favorite day of the week? Why is it your favorite day of the week? Or if he doesn't have one, you can talk about yours, and you can ask him, like, oh, do you like every day of the week, or you don't like every day of the week, and all of that. And then you can also ask, what would you do on a day off? What would you typically do on a day off? Like, will you just sleep and rest and relax, or would you go out? Do you want to hang out with your friends? Would you want to, what would you do? Would you travel or whatever? What would you do on a day off? I think that's also a very good way to start a conversation. Another fun question you can ask is, if you end up in jail, or if they are to call your parents that you're in jail, what would be the first thing they would think you did? What would be the first thing that your parents would think you did if they were to call you, to receive a call that you were in jail? I think that's also a very interesting question that you both can ask, or you can ask, and then you both can discourse. You can even laugh over and all of that. Now, this is another deep, but I think it's not deep in the sense that it's intrusive, but it's deep in the sense that this girl, she's wise. Okay, you can ask, if your life was a movie, what scene would you like to replay? What scene would you like to watch over and over again, or to replay over and over again? You know, that's like it just means, I mean, another way of asking it is, what's your best memory? What's the best memory you've had since your childhood up until now? What's the best memory you've ever had that if you had the opportunity you like to relive? So I just think it's more romantic if you ask it as, if your life was a movie, what scene would you like to, you know, watch over and over again, right? So I think, yeah, that's also a very good way, a very good conversation, or a good way to have a deep yet not intrusive conversation with the person you want to date. My light has gone off. I was scared of this. Hi guys, so I don't want to turn on that gen again because it's been running for quite a while. So yes, that's where we're going to end. That's where we're going to end the episode of today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you want me to do a part 2 of it, like, I still have a lot that I can, a lot I can dish out, but I think this is actually good, right? Instead of me to be asking what's your 5 years plan, how many children do you want to have and stuff like that in the first date, I think those are second date, third date question, right? But just to get to know like I said, that seemingly trivial question can help you to know so much about a person's life. So yes, I hope this has been helpful to you. If it has, let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, so that's how we're gonna end the discussion for today, guys. I'm hosting a class coming up on the 18th of June, right? Yes, it's one-on-one with Victoria Fash. It's a one-on-one mentorship with me. Yeah, so if you're interested, I'll leave the link in the description box below. Please make sure you share with your friends and your families. So thank you guys. Until we meet again, my name is Victoria Ayodele Fash, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Bye guys.